and recording.
Okay, cool. So I had a lot of people ask me about kind of like what I learned at Rise. And I was like, okay, well, let's do a call and we'll talk about it. But as I started to go through my notes, I realized there was so much information on so many different topics that it couldn't all go into one call because it would kind of just be all over the place. So we decided that I'm going to start with kind of one topic, and then maybe over the course of the next couple months, as things become relevant, I can share more and more. If you have specific questions about things, I'm happy to chat with you about that. But there's just like literally a textbook of information that I could share with you guys. So tonight, what we wanted to start off with was talking about high performance habits and kind of what those habits look like when we're thinking about getting to that next level of success. So I have my notes here. Let me just try and get situated. Sorry. Okay. So kind of like what I want to start off with, like what is a high performer by definition? And this was a presentation by Brendon Burchard. He has a book called High Performance Habits. That's actually really funny because he also has this planner that's called the High Performance Planner. And it's the planner that I use, and it has kind of the spaces for every day. I've showed this before, but like for time blocking, and then it also has like morning routine and a nighttime routine, as well as like setting your priorities for the day. So this goes along with the book. And his book is really based on the science of what they did was like the largest research study into high performers and tried to find like what was consistent in all of them, no matter what their industry was or what their job was. So I want to share with you what the definition of a high performer is, because I feel like it's valuable. So a high performer is someone who consistently succeeds beyond standard norms while maintaining well-being and positive relationships. So the thing I love about this is that you can't be a high performer if you're just the top success club earner. You can't be a high performer if you're the top coach in the network. You also have to have the positive well-being and the positive relationships, which I think is so important when we are looking at how do you balance Beachbody and coaching with so many other things that are going on in everyone's lives, because we all have those things, right? But it's really about finding that balance between taking care of yourself first while still reaching for the next level of success. So one thing when we talk about these habits, and I'm going to go through a few of the habits in a little bit, but one thing to think about is what got you to this point will not get you to the next level. The skill set that you developed now is maxed out. So if you think of it that way, every single day you have to be improving. Every single day you have to be doing something to make your skill set stronger. Every single day you have to be doing something to level yourself up. So I thought that was like a really like hit home line, that if you think of every single day that your skill set is maxed out, it's really going to like help you start your day with that mindset of what can I do today that's different than what I did yesterday. And I feel like that's kind of like a season that I'm really going through right now is how do I take it to the next level? I feel like I gave it my all to get here, but what got me here isn't going to get me to where I'm going. So how do I take those same habits that I developed to get here and apply them to leveling up my life? So when we think about this, we have to think about what sacrifices we're willing to make. And it's okay to have sacrifices that you're not willing to make. The point here is to make the distinction of what are you willing to do and what are you not willing to do, because you have to set your own priorities. You have to know what's important. Is your business the most important thing to you? If it's not, that's okay. If your family is the most important thing to you, like that's cool. If your relationship is the most important thing to you, but know where your priorities fall, because that's the thing that's going to help guide the decisions that you make. If your relationship is the most important thing and it's like a special, say like anniversary or something, there are times when you're going to have to choose that relationship if that's where your priorities lie. And that's where it goes back to a high performer has to be someone who succeeds, but also maintains those positive relationships and their personal well-being. So that's one part of it. You also have to think about what habits do you need to develop to get you from where you are to where you're going. So I would highly recommend making a list. what are all the great habits you have right now? Maybe it's you've started to implement a morning routine. Maybe it's you read a little bit of PD in the morning. Maybe it's you unplug 30 minutes before you go to bed. But then also analyze and reflect, what habits that are maybe not so great do you need to change to take you to the next level? So for me, last time I was looking at feeling like I was really like kind of maxed out and how do I get to the next level? I was like, okay, I have a morning routine, but now I need to wake up earlier. The next level requires me to get in that much more before my day starts. So I would challenge you to make a list of what great habits do you already have that are solid, and then what habits do you have that maybe you could replace with even better habits. Another thing, I kind of already talked about this, but you have to know what you care about personally. So what I care about might not be the same as what Shauna cares about. What Shauna cares about might not be the same as what Jocelyn cares about. But you have to know for you, and this is individualized, at the end of the day or at the end of the month or at the end of the year, how are you going to measure your own success? It might not be with Success Club points. It might not be with your rank. And like at the end of the day, those are just numbers. So how do you measure what success looks like to you? You need to clearly define that. Is it the number of people that you impacted today? Is it a happiness thing? Is it how well you connected with others? Because you want to use those things to then actually measure how you did each and every day. And in that planner that I showed you guys, they actually have you do that on a weekly and a monthly basis as well. So reflecting and looking back on, in success in your eyes, how did you do? Not on anybody else's scale, not on the Beachbody scales, not on the rank scales, not on the Success Club scales. Are you happy with what you did? And then to actually dive into some of the habits. So I'm just going to my notes. So there's really 5 key habits that he talked about. The first one so these are the habits of a high performer. What did all these high performers that they studied have in common? The first one is that they all generate energy. So as a high performer, you are responsible for your own energy. You have the power to control the energy in the room. You also have the power to reflect the energy in the room. So thinking like high performers are very, very intentional about the energy that they bring to everything. High performers also know that the energy that they're putting out is their own responsibility. So if Sally Sue, who sits next to you at work, was negative, that doesn't mean that you have to be negative too. And one thing to think about here too is they use this analogy of, if you think of like a power plant, so like windmills or like all that kind of stuff, power plants, they don't already have energy, they create it. So that's kind of the analogy that they use, is that like you want to be the power plant. It takes literally nothing and puts that positive energy. So how do you apply that to your life? I don't know about you guys, but daylight savings has me down in the dumps. It literally gets dark here at like 4 p.m. and I am not down for that. So I can come home and I can be so tired and whatever, but what do? I literally jump up and down on the spot, because I know that I have control over my energy and that I can create it. So if I look like a dummy jumping up and down on the spot or putting on my favorite song and dancing, I know that I am like, ultimately I can choose to let the weather or whatever dictate how I feel. But when you move your body, you change your mind. So that's like one thing that I put into practice. Literally, even at work, I get the urge to like jump up and down if I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, this day is taking forever. So I would encourage you guys to try that too. Oh my gosh, look at little Bex. He's so cute. Sorry. Number 2, he's so cute, is raise necessity. So high performers put pressure on themselves. This has to do with like deadlines. This has to do kind of from like the everyday mundane stuff that we do day in and day out, right? So if we think of, for example, that we don't have to hit our goals until the end of the year, mentally that puts us in a place of thinking that it's not a necessity, right? But if you put self-imposed deadlines on, okay, I know I want to be a 5-star diamond by the end of the year, so I'm going to set a deadline and write it in my calendar of I'm going to be 1-star by end of Q1, that is putting pressure on yourself to make it happen. So high performers don't necessarily like wait for deadlines, they create their own. Also, something that I thought was really, really valuable to reflect on is 2 questions you can ask yourself every single day. Every day they ask themselves, who needs me on my game today? So if we think of back to last night's call where she was talking about you not showing up, gives your coaches permission not to show up, gives other people on your team permission not to show up. This question makes me think of that. So who needs you on your A game today? And the second one is, why is it necessary that I serve with excellence today? So you can think of how you serve your community, how you serve your customers, how you serve the other coaches on your team. Habit number 3 is increase your productivity. So this is really, really mind-blowing. So the average person spends X amount of time scrolling on social media a day. I think it's something like 30 minutes, which doesn't really seem like a lot, right? I'm sure you do it in between like invites or when you're like trying to find people's stuff to comment on. You can really easily end up in that black hole of scrolling through social media. If you scroll social media 30 minutes a day, at the end of the year, you lost a full month. Is that not so crazy? It seems so insignificant in the moment, but that adds up to be so much time. You could have hit Success Club in that time, right? So that's something to think about is high performers, they focus on the 5 activities that move the needle most. So if you look at your own business, what are the 5 things that you can do every single day that move the needle the farthest? I know for sure one of them is invites. The second one is living in your inbox, connecting with other people on social media, actually showing up on social media instead of the fluffy stuff that it's so easy to get caught up in. High performers are very clear on the things that they must do. And we talk a lot about that. The other thing is high performers plan more moves. So the whole reason that high performance planner has the days or the hours written out of the day is because high performers plan their days like that to a T. So I've made a video before talking about how I personally do time blocking with that planner. I can share it later. I won't really go through it now, but they literally schedule in everything. High performers still watch Netflix, but it's scheduled next Netflix time. They know on Monday that they're going to watch Netflix on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. So thinking about how can you plan more of your time goes back to what Sammy was talking about again yesterday of plan out your entire day and then look for the white spaces. Number 4, I think we're on, is develop influence. So you role model for the people that watch you as a high performer, and you know that you have that power to influence other people. And I thought this was really relevant to what we do as coaches because people are watching you every single day, whether you know it or not. They also talked about, completely separate side note, but to stop worrying about the likes you get on social media, because think of the amount of people that see your post but don't necessarily like it. And I think like if you think that you're not having a big impact because you only get 100 likes on your social media, you're probably influencing 3 times the amount of those people who actually double tapped. Think of how many photos you see and you don't actually like them, you just scroll past them. So you have to know that you have that influence, and with huge goals, with wanting to be a leader, with wanting to be a high performer comes huge responsibility. So you have to know that you are showing up every single day and that you're influencing people every single day. So you need to be intentional about the things you choose to share and how you choose to show up and how you choose to show up for yourself. When there's those days of, oh, my workout's scheduled, but do I really need to do it? Think back to the people that you're influencing with that decision. Habit number 5 is demonstrate courage. So courage means that you speak up more, you share your ideas with the people around you, even if you think they might judge you, and you cheer other people on more, which is, I think we do a really great job on this team of recognizing other people and shouting other people out. But I definitely think there's room for improvement for more people to share ideas. This is a safe space. We are a community. This is the safest space, I would say, to share your ideas because no one is ever going to tell you that it's dumb. I always feel like I say this, but just because I do it one way or Shauna does it one way doesn't mean that's the only right way to do it, or even that it's the best way to do it. So the more that we can collaborate as a team is only going to help everybody level up, right? And the last thing they said about courage was to listen through the fear, or in other words, listen to your whisper. So I think that's really, really powerful too. For me, how this applies to coaching is whenever I have to write a post that I know I want to write or I know I want to share, but it kind of feels like a gut punch to share it on social media, or it feels like cringy, or I know there's specific people in my mind who are going to read this and think kind of like, what the heck? That's when I apply listen to the whisper, because my gut is telling me someone needs to hear this, even though my head is saying, oh my God, what the F are you doing? But those are the posts that impact people most in the end, right? I can think of one, and you can probably think of one for yourself too, specifically. Of mine was where I shared about how I always wanted to go to law school. And I didn't really like to share that story because I didn't go to law school, right? So it's kind of looks like a big fat failure on my part that maybe I wasn't strong enough or smart enough. But when I shared that on social media, I had the most amount of people reach out to me and say, like, me too, because the whole post is about how it's okay to change your mind and it's okay to change your path. And the most amount of people reached out to me, and maybe it wasn't public for everyone to see, but to me, I know that post had a huge impact. The last thing I wanted to touch on of those are the habits. Is your life right now, think about it, is a direct reflection of the choices you've made up to this point and the habits that you currently have. So this is where my tough love comes in. If you're an Emerald coach and you don't want to be an Emerald coach, the choices you made up to this point are the reason that you're an Emerald coach. The habits that you have right now are the reason that you're an Emerald coach. So I really, really challenge you to look at your habits out of a critical eye. How can I get better? How can I level up? What's going to take me to the next level? Because if you keep doing the things that you've been doing, it's not going to happen. Doing the same thing over and over again is not going to get you to the next level, right? And the other thing I would say is be brave enough to ask someone else for feedback. I feel like one of the things that's most valuable to me is the relationship I have with Shauna is we're really, really in a comfortable place where we can give each other that feedback and know that it's coming from a place of like constructive criticism and love. So I would encourage you to either find a success partner or someone else on the team, whether they're in the same downline as you, but find someone that you can share that kind of feedback with, whether it is, hey girl, I noticed you said you're going to commit to 5 a.m. every day, but I haven't seen you 2 days this week. What's up? Hey girl, I know you said you're going to post 5 times on social media this week, but I haven't really seen your posts. Like, do you want help? Do you want to brainstorm ideas together? But really finding that person that is going to hold you accountable the same way that we hold our challengers accountable, but accountable for your business. So I would really encourage you heading into 2020 and heading into the end of the year, what you do now matters. What you do now is setting the course for how 2020 is going to go. In this business, you don't reap the benefits the same way you plant, the same day that you plant the seeds, right? So what you're doing now is going to reflect in 3 months. The same way as if you're not seeing the success you want to see in your business right now, look at what you did in August. To be completely honest and open, I'm at Success Club 4. And I have to look back and what the heck did I do in August? Because that's the reason that I'm sitting right now here now. And I can't do anything to go back and change August, but I can sure as heck show up today to change where I'm gonna be in January and February. So give yourself grace, let go of the past. Like thinking on it over and over again isn't gonna change anything, but take that as a learning experience to implement how are you gonna show up today. And you don't have to change everything at once. I think that's a big thing too, is everybody tries to switch everything in their entire routine and change all their habits at one time. What's one thing you could do tomorrow to level up? Maybe you get up 15 minutes earlier. Maybe you send out 10 invites before you actually go to work in the morning. But what's one thing that you can do? And then when you master that one thing, next week, what's another thing that you could add? So that is kind of what I had. I wanted to also open it up to, I'm not sure how much time has gone by. Okay, 20 minutes, cool. I wanted to open up, does anybody have any questions about Rise or any specific topics they wanted me to touch on? Because we kind of covered like every topic of entrepreneurship, and I love to talk about it. I feel like I get to geek out when I talk about like the conference because I loved it that much. So if there's anything at all anybody has questions about or wants to know more about, drop them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask, because I would love to share. Like I literally took this notebook to work as like show and tell and sat down with my manager and went through all the things that I thought were applicable to our team at work. So this is, I'll show you guys. Let's see. This is my to-do list of takeaways of like things to implement. A page and like a half. So there's like no shortage of information. Let's see. How amazing is Rachel Hulse person? Okay. She's like 10 times more amazing because I don't know about you guys, but I like love a well-placed F-bomb. And I feel like online she doesn't really swear, but in real life she is like so herself. One thing that they made us do, which is like so up, I feel like all of our alleys, is if they saw one person in the audience yawn, she would literally stop everything and be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and a song would blast, and you have to like get out of your seat and dance like crazy, the same way we did at Summit, except like 25 times throughout the day. So it was really, really awesome, and like I had the most fun, and I was literally there alone and made no friends. So I feel like if I can have fun like alone and dance like carefree like that, imagine what it would be like in a group. So next year it's in Austin, Texas, the same weekend. It's definitely a huge investment in your business, but it's not just an investment in your business. We talked so much about mindset and everything. I would totally encourage it. Next year I want to be like in the place where I can sit on the floor, because it was like I want to be right in the middle of the action. But even if you can just get yourself in the room, you're going to hear everything. It is so much valuable information, but definitely start saving now if you can, because it is an investment. Any questions, or do we want to stop recording? I don't know. No one has anything they want to know specifically?
Do you want me to stop recording? Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I'll stop one sec.